Hi, I'm Liz Gaines. I'm a reporter with Recode in San Francisco. I'm very glad to be here. We have an interesting intersection of folks on this panel, and we're going to talk about the topic here is discovering Asia's user goldmine, which I hope, it sounds like an interesting metaphor to me. I don't know if you can just like stumble upon a gold mine, but maybe we'll talk a little bit about how these folks find and reach people and their different businesses. So Troy, why don't we start with you? Tell us where you're based and where you're focused on where your users, or for each of you, where your customers' users are based.
Yeah, so I am based in California, which is kind of an interesting place for the general manager of Asia Pacific. But I look over a very big area, and as it turns out, whether I'm based here or San Francisco, it's about the same amount of flight time. So that's where I'm based, and really, I think we're not trying to find users in Asia. Really, Asian users found us first, I guess, so to say. And so we've really been finding ways to connect better with our users on a more local basis. And right now we have 12 international offices around the world to try to help us in that endeavor. We have a number here in Asia. And yeah, that's kind of where Evernote is. We've kind of followed, I guess our users have pulled us into the region, and we're happy for that because we're doing well.
I realize we should back out a step. I mean, maybe everyone knows what Evernote is.
Oh yeah, I forgot to say that I was with Evernote, sorry.
No,
I'm not wearing the right shirt today.
Oh, okay. Well,
so that's a startup faux pas right there. But yeah, so I work for Evernote, and we're a note-taking application. We've got a little over, well, close to 120 million users now around the globe. Some of them are absolute fanatics, and they can't live without it. And that's kind of the one range. And then the other range are people that are just discovering it and trying to understand how to use it. So we have kind of a wide range of users that we cater to.
And what's the distribution of users that are in APAC?
So we're about 35% of our business now is in APAC. About 4 years ago, when I was first hired on, majority of our users were in the US. We didn't have a huge international presence, but now we're nearing 80% of our users being outside of the US, which for us is a tremendous milestone. And it's really forced us to really be an international company from the beginning. So if you look at Evernote at headquarters, we have people from all over the world. It's a great mix. Cool.
Real quick before we move on, why are you based in California?
Well,
it's amazing there.
Yeah,
I like it too.
The weather. No. When I first came onto Evernote, I came in through Phil Libin, our CEO, and I was going to be based here, but Evernote at the time was 70 employees, and there were going to be a lot of decisions made at the home office. And his feeling was that if I was here, I wouldn't really be present for a lot of those decisions that we needed to make in real time. So that was the genesis of the idea, and it's actually worked very well. I turn out to be pretty immune to jet lag, so it isn't really that big of a deal. And we have a tremendous team on the ground here in Singapore, Korea, Japan, Beijing. We have just tremendous people on the ground. So it works out very well.
Great. Nobu,
Yep.
we've probably all heard of Microsoft at this point, but tell us about specifically what you work on and where.
All right, so first of all, thank you for the great opportunity to be on the stage. As you may not know, the Microsoft started our businesses on the commercial, side. I mean, focusing on like enterprise customers or partners, right? But last, let's say, 6 to 8 years, we are really maximizing our efforts on the startups area because it's so important to maximize our ecosystem with new partners like mobile first or cloud first companies. So I was in the Japan team more than 14 years, but I was really focusing on the startup ecosystem in Japan. But as you may know, it's not so easy to leverage our local government in Japan or finding new opportunities with startups in Japan. So I decided to move to Singapore because this is a unique place to work with startups or partners to find a new opportunity in the Asian market and also in the Europe or US market. And my key focus area is I have 3 things. The first one is building a new apps on the phone or in a tablet. And the second priority would be the breadth, marketing. For example, like leveraging our online learning sessions for the IT pros or developers. And last one, we are leveraging our developer tools called Visual Studio. But we are having a great program called BizSpark, which is 3 years free software free program for all startups. If you are the startups less than 3 years or like less than US $1 million. So this is kind of our focus area. So if you have any questions, hey, where's Nicholas? Yeah, over there. Nicholas is a program manager for the BizSpark. So if you have any questions, please come to me or Nicholas. So I can talk about this kind of project. Yep.
Are you guys live streaming this on the internet somewhere?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
All right.
Michel, tell us a little bit more about Xaxis.
Xaxis. Well, I had a 10-minute commute to get here, by the way, so it's a little bit closer than San Fran.
No jet lag.
No jet lag. No. Small traffic jam. Xaxis is a company. So we're a media and technology platform, part of WPP. The industry sort of tried to call us a trading desk, in case that people sort of are more familiar with that name, which I fundamentally disagree to that we are, and thankfully the rest of our 900 colleagues as well. Xaxis got launched globally about 4 years ago. We launched Xaxis in APAC about 3 years ago. Spread out across the region to really get some good footprints in the 30 markets that were operational. So we have local people on the ground in sort of the main 30 markets in Asia Pacific. And that's where we work closely with all the advertisers as well as the agencies, majority within the WPP group where we're part of. We work closely with these agencies to help advertisers reach their audiences at scale by using data and technology in most cases.
Okay. What's an example of that?
From an advertiser perspective, or?
Yeah, from an advertiser.
I think we work with the major clients within the WPP and Group M family, yeah.
Chris.
Yep.
You're the sibling, the corporate sibling.
Yeah, we work for
like
the same
that way.
man.
I like that way.
We have the same big boss. So he's part of Group M, and I'm in Ogilvy, which I just realized I'm kind of like the dinosaur on this panel, the traditional guy, right? I think it's the first time that I'm the traditional guy. Anyways, I used to be the cool guy a couple of years ago. Not anymore. So I have a couple of jobs in Ogilvy. My main job is I run the Ogilvy group in China. I also have a second job. I run the advertising business for Ogilvy across Asia Pacific. And I'm maybe not the kind of standard ad guy. I guess that's why I have the advertising job, largely to see how I can modernize, transform what we do in that space, because increasingly when we go to clients, they will say like, oh, he's the cool guy and we are the traditional guys. Obviously, both is very important, and we're looking at how we can restructure or relook at the way we work as an agency to be more relevant in today's times. And my third, it's probably more a hobby than a job. The stuff that you see outside there, this one-kind thingy, we set up a company here in Singapore about a year ago, which is called One Kind, which is an innovation consultancy, innovation business, which is kindly supported by the government here in Singapore, and that's something I'm very passionate about. That's kind of my little pet project.
What is it exactly?
Sorry?
What is it?
It's we used to have, and many agencies and also clients talk about innovation these days, and nobody really knows what it is and what it leads to. So we try to set up something new to kind of undo everything that we can't do in a bigger kind of traditional setup. So it's basically a company focused on product innovation. So we help clients to develop new products, new services, largely through technology or use of technology, The way this operates is a bit more like a startup or incubator. So everything we can't do in the big world of Ogilvy, we try to do there. So a bit of an experiment ground, R&D lab, innovation business. Yeah.
Okay. I'd be interested to hear how you all think about where the most addressable users are right now. Given all the changes that we see around, just access and devices and connectivity, how do you segment the world into where you're looking at for opportunities for acquiring users? We can start with Troy.
We look at really the world as containing two buckets of users. Really, mobile has driven our business, I would say. So mobile is kind of the first criteria, but really that blankets the globe now. We have developing markets that we're more focused on really user acquisition and engagement. I would say that's what we focus on really in the developing world. And then we have more mature markets like Singapore here. Singapore is actually the largest concentration based on population of Evernote users in the world.
Really?
So we're nearing 20% of people in Singapore have an Evernote account. So then we have, that's kind of the opposite end of the scale, if you compare it with like India or Indonesia. And in markets like this, we focus on helping people become deeper embedded with the product, using it for more use cases, really deepening the value that they get from the product. And that, of course, leads to conversion, which is our business model. Our business model is to add sufficient value that people are happy to pay us. And that's kind of the cycle. So, we've done deals with OEMs and device manufacturers in many different markets. We've done deals with mobile carriers that gives us a broader exposure. Mm-hmm. We don't really advertise as a company. It's either word of mouth or PR or these partnerships that have really driven our growth. So about every day, there's 100,000 new Evernote accounts created across the world. But it's our job to cultivate those users to the point that they eventually see enough value out of the product that they want to pay for it.
With the Singapore example, how did Evernote grow here?
Well, it was interesting because when I first came on, Singapore was one of the markets that I knew that we just needed to understand better. I think it's a great petri dish to understand users in. It's small, and that's a huge advantage. You can easily do meetups. You can get to know your users a lot better here in Singapore compared to a lot of other markets. And I would say the key here in Singapore was Tiong Lim Fu, who's sitting right here. He's just a passionate user of Evernote, and I did a meetup when I first started at Evernote, and a couple months after that meetup, he contacted me and said, "Hey, would you mind if I do another Evernote meetup here in Singapore?" And I said, "Wow, would I mind? Let me send you some shirts and some stickers and stuff like that." And he started doing those kind of things, and then I noticed that he had really the skills that I needed for someone on the ground here, and eventually brought him on to lead our expansion in really Southeast Asia and Australia. So it was really connecting with our user community, finding people that were passionate about Evernote first, because those are the people that it's easy to, you can sell anything if you believe in it, right? So I found people that had that passion first, but they also had the skills that I needed to build the market. And it's really, the foundation of Evernote's growth, I think, has been built on our relationship with our users. That's really been the key. I think our users understand that we're not selling a product, we're just co-productivity geeks like them. And just so happens that we've built a product that really is great for productivity geeks. And that's really been a driver for our growth.
Okay. Well, it sounds like you do advertising. You're talking about it. Just kidding. Nobu, back to the question I asked about segmenting users. How do you think about that?
Yeah, I see a high potential in terms of the cross-platform plus consumption. Okay, I have a question to the audience in the room. How many of you are using the Android phone? Okay, then how about the iPhone, right? Okay, now is the question. How about the Windows phone? Okay, thank you very much. This is the, my team members. Oh, yeah, I saw him. Thank you very much.
I saw him.
Okay, this is the reality.
What was your read on that? Was like half or more, a little more iPhone?
Yeah, this is the reality in the market. Not only for the APAC, but also in the US or Europe market. That's why the Microsoft decided to have a cross-platform strategy. Now you can use our Office, apps on the iPhone, right? So if you think about the creating new opportunity, finding new users, the cross-platform is one of the key area, to find a new customer and partners. And second, consumption. If you think about our lifestyle, it's totally changed in last 10 or 20 years. When I was childhood, my father never used like a mobile phone or personal computers. But right now, your friends, your child, they're using some tablet or mobile phones, right? So we need to think about how the consumption is raising our a revenue or finding new opportunities. So it's really important to analyze the consumption of our businesses in terms of let's say the usage of the phone or a usage of the tablet. We can analyze the time of the consumption, right? Yeah.
Okay.
Same question.
Yes.
I got a bit of a different angle to that. I mean, obviously, we're not a platform. We're not like a Microsoft, a cross-device platform, a cross-media platform. For me, a user is more an audience. For me, a user is more for how a brand and an advertiser looks at it. I think it's a little bit of a different angle to that. I think that we need to be clear, and I know this is a very sort of digital savvy and technology savvy, not only panel, but also the whole conference. But we should not underestimate still the power of other media types still out there. And if a brand looks at a user, there are tons of examples to mention where things like TV and radio and outdoor still works a lot better than anything else. That's reality. If we then look at the digital space, I think there's a massive opportunity to find that user and to find that audience. But I think it all starts with the brand by redefining who his audience is. I think that one of the challenges that I see in the digital space is that we get briefs from advertisers around, I want to reach, let's take, for example, a dog food manufacturer, right? We get a brief which says, I want to receive adults, I want to reach adults 25-44, right? And let's assume that's 90% of this audience. Probably half of them only has a dog. So there's, by applying sort of audience definitions and reach definitions which are more known around sort of, for example, TV advertising, by applying that onto the new world digital advertising, you miss out a lot of opportunities. We reached a sort of a post-demographics era because these are totally irrelevant sort of KPIs and sort of audience definitions, if you ask me. I think with the nowadays advertising capabilities on digital, by applying data and technology, you have the opportunity to go way more in depth about who your specific target audience is. And I think that's how brands should re-identify who, for them, their target audience is and for who them the specific user is. So it's a bit of a different angle to that, but I think that's where there's the opportunity.
Don't people still talk in demographics in your business? How do you get past that to the next step and get more specific?
Well, there's nothing wrong that they still talk that way, because that's what they've been doing for the last, 10, 20, 30 years. But I think it's a task for all of us to take them on that journey and to show them that, by applying the data and technology and the fact that it's available right now in the majority of all the markets worldwide, is that you can be way more precise in that targeting, and you can make your campaigns with that also way more specific and way more efficient. Mm-hmm. And obviously, well, I will not steal the sort of the creative angle to this, but creative is a big player in that as well.
Okay, so what does the dinosaur think?
You know, for me, I think the challenge is that increasingly for us, clients come to us and say, I have all these great possibilities now. I have, you know, technology at my disposal to do all sorts of things. I can find new customers. I have endless amounts of data about my consumers, but how do I make sense out of all that stuff and really apply it in a way that helps me to drive my business? And you know, to me, there's an increasing complexity, and very few people really know how to make sense out of it. Everybody claims they do, but I haven't seen many clients that really at scale have used the data and the insights that they have about their consumers to apply it in a meaningful or different way. Obviously, there's, you know, lots of things you can do and lots of things you should do, but I have a lot of clients that usually work in extremes. So they say, everything I've done in the past was not good, so now I'm doing everything different. And then 6 months later, they come back and say, actually, that hasn't really worked that well either. So out of all the things I have now, what should I do? So what we're trying to do is to obviously become more savvy in the way we look at data and the way we look at consumers.
Yeah, because you still care about who it reaches.
Sure. But I think then to really use all the information that you have about a consumer to come up with something that connects with them in a different way and in a more meaningful way is not as easy as people think it is. Sure, you can today, you know, target up to the smallest, you know, component, if you whatever.
It's amazing, right?
Yeah, it is. But then what do you do with it? You know, not necessarily. I mean, knowing that, you know, whatever dog lovers do all sorts of things is one thing. But then how do you apply that in a meaningful way to get them to buy more dog food? That's.
Yeah, but Chris, you have to agree to. I mean, I know you're not sort of the biggest fan of data and technology, but you have to agree that also
I'm a huge fan of data and technology.
This is the sibling rivalry.
No, that's absolutely. We're part of the same family.
No, you just want to make me look like a dinosaur again. I love data and technology.
You started off the way yourself, right? But I mean, we're from a creative.
What does he really mean? What is he saying?
I don't know what he really means, but
that's how we usually do it.
But you have to agree to the fact that, you know, I understand that you think from a very creative process, and that's how you work with your clients as a starting point. But you have to agree that data and technology can help and make that more efficient. So, you know, that the right ad shows up in front of the right person who actually benefits from that ad, because that's eventually what data and technology does to you. I mean, isn't that sort of helping the creative industry in that sense as well?
Yeah, I didn't say anything different. I do, obviously, I you know, think that technology and data can help you in many ways to target the right consumers, but I still think data and technology will not answer to you what is, out of the million things that you can do, the one thing you should do, or the two things you should do. And I mean, even you would have to agree that a lot of clients still use other things than Xaxis. They do a lot of other stuff as well. And if you're a marketing director and you have $100 to spend, where do you spend it in the most effective way? And I think
it's a matter of time.
I think there's right now lots of different people coming to them with different interests, telling them, do this because that's what I do, or do that because that's what I do. And I think industry as a whole hasn't done, in my view, a great job to give a lot of the marketing folks the confidence to do, you know, what they should be doing. And I meet a lot of, you know, CMOs and marketing directors. They're confused. So we tend to think that we know the answers or we're very smart, but a lot of...
Well, shouldn't you be able to measure the answers? Isn't there accountability?
There is obviously lots of ways to measure what you do, but at least I don't know anyone that can go to a client and say, if you have $100 and you spend it that way, it'll be much better than you spend it that way. I think you can obviously optimize within certain media platforms, and Group M, I'm sure, can tell you how it's more effective if you spend more on TV versus digital versus, I don't know, ad exchanges versus lots of stuff. But I think on a higher level, it's very hard to do it. And I think it needs a bit of, it needs data, it needs technology, but I also think it needs a bit of ability to make sense out of it.
Okay, so let's
Last thing on that, sorry, but
go ahead.
I totally agree to what you said, but we should also not forget that this industry where we're talking about sort of programmatic and then you can throw like 1,000 three-letter acronyms behind it, did not exist 5 years ago, 4 years ago. So it's still very new. It's still a lot of trial and error happening. There are markets. I mean, I've seen it when we launched here in APAC 3 years ago. We went into small markets and they had absolutely no clue what it all was. So it's been a long journey. It's been a short journey, but it looks like a very long journey, and it gets a lot of momentum right now. There's a lot of hype around it, but it is just still very new. So it just takes time for like, worldwide and all the different markets and local levels that advertisers, publishers, technology vendors, agencies, and everything in between sort of really understands what's happening.
Why don't we try to connect all of your perspectives by asking what is the information you would like to get to help evaluate your approach to attracting users? What is out there, especially in Asian markets? How could you better? What do you need to exist for you to understand what's working?
Well, the thing that I love about marketing today is extreme measurability and the ability to see what's working and what's not much quicker than you otherwise would have been, a few short years ago. So that's nice. One of the things that we're really talking a lot, in fact, we had a big discussion about this morning, was really just messaging as it gets kind of more to the creative side. Like I believe that data and technology is fabulous, and it's something that we are taking advantage of. But if you don't couple that with the right messaging, the right call to action, the right emotive character, if you will, within our users, you don't get movement. And it can be targeted perfectly and just be pinpoint targeting. But if you don't have the right message, if you don't have the right emotion in your user when they interact with whatever you're doing with them, whether it be a video or a piece of interactive advertising or whatever it is, that you quickly understand that it doesn't work, which is the great thing. But then you have to come up with something that does work, which is, I think, the most challenging thing of all, right? Is coming up with what resonates. And then once you find what resonates, that's the easy part. Then you just scale it. So the biggest thing for us, the thing that keeps me awake at night is if I could sit down with all of our users, right, individually, what brings them to the point where they say, you know what, that's worth it to me. That's worth $45 a year, and I want to pull out my credit card right now and pay for that. Like, understanding that, I think, for any business is probably the most important thing that you can understand. And then technology and data and all of that backs that up and enhances it all the better.
Okay.
So that's what I think about.
You have what you want. You just need to keep iterating.
Yeah.
Okay. Nobu, how about you?
Yeah, I'm always thinking about the funnel model from the air cover to the deep engagement or depth engagement. As one of the American company, a global company, we have like a scorecards or KPIs. It's a tons of targets or metrics. But as you said, if you think about the right message or right key message or execution plans, it's so important to align with our key scorecards and metrics between the message and KPIs. And one of the key things is the excellence in execution. If you think about the marketing motion or finding new users in the market, we can create a new the sexy messages into the market, but in terms of the execution excellence, it's so important to revisit monthly basis or weekly basis how we're gonna achieve our metrics or yeah, we need to find the like a failure portion as much as possible earlier portion. So the key funnel or the key target will be the key very important for us.
Let's try to make the discussion a little bit more
Yeah.
specific to Southeast Asia. So could we talk a little bit more about, let's see, so your approaches in this region and the different ways that you're looking at markets here? And also, it looks like we already have a lot of questions. So if you want to ask more questions, go ahead. I'll look at them and I'll try to get to that pretty soon. But let's do a little bit more specificity with regards to place. Why don't we give you some more airtime, Chris?
About Southeast Asia? I don't know anything about Southeast Asia. I cannot give you a specific Southeast Asia answer because I think the answer
Okay, go broader. But
is similar.
it's the same everywhere. People are people.
Yeah, that's the big conclusion
we all just
for
get
today.
along?
People are people. No, I think there's massive opportunities, and when I just look at WPP, our big boss always talks about horizontality. We sit on huge amounts of consumer data. We have a huge amount of knowledge about consumers. But it's all in different pieces of the organization. I think if we're able to really get a more holistic view and leverage that data, we'll probably be able to do amazing things that we're not doing right now. So there are lots of initiatives to do that. But I think if we're really able to use the collective insight that we have and the technology that we sit on to identify those consumers, I think there's great opportunities for us and for clients as well.
Michel, I can't imagine that you agree with that.
I do, of course. No, I agree to that. I think from a user perspective and in Southeast Asia, I think one of the things that sort of, what I've been noticing a lot in the couple of years that I've been in Asia here is that, and then I go back to sort of how brands are looking at, sort of are looking at user groups, but I think should look at it a little bit different. Let's take, for example, like a high fashion brand who sells handbags, right? 95% of their budget will be spent on high net worth people, right? Who fit into what they define as a target audience. But if I do a coffee around lunch here, I see in the CBD area, I see a lot of fresh grads, just with the first job, and they all have fancy handbags. And what happens a lot here in Southeast Asia is because they use their first 2-3 months of salary, they probably eat chicken rice for a couple of months, they're all living at home, to buy that one expensive handbag. And that's sort of just a statement they make from, okay, I got a full-time job right now, I'm going to buy that Prada, Gucci, whatever handbag it is. And what I would like to see brands do sort of more embrace that and really look at beyond, okay, who technically can, based on a monthly income, can pay for my handbags, and really go more into sort of the local knowledge of these markets and sort of address the situations that I, for example, just mentioned.
Excellent. Nobu. You're mostly focused on Singapore?
Yeah, focusing on Singapore. Yeah, but still thinking about you.
Well, this is again a conversation that we've been having. When you look at Southeast Asia and beyond, I mean, in a lot of Asia, there's a lot of aspiration, right? Like you look at a country like India, a lot of people, why is LinkedIn so important in India? Because upward mobility is the name of the game, right? That's like a new thing, right? So LinkedIn is intensely popular, and what I've been kind of talking about with my team is in certain countries, and I think Southeast Asia is very much in this bucket, is rather than talking about features and the product, talking about more how Evernote plus you equals a kick-ass you, right? Like, people are not buying Evernote for the features, people are buying Evernote for a better them. They want to be smarter, they want to have information at their fingertips, they want to be the one at the board meeting who comes up with the right answer because it's in their Evernote, right? So more focusing on a better you rather than you can do checklists and you can do this, and all the feature type stuff that so often with technology products is what leads. It's taking a step back and saying, why are these people who are so crazy about Evernote such high achievers? Really, our demographic are high achievers, right? Or people who want to be high achievers. So that's kind of a different tact that we've been taking in the region, which is kind of an interesting difference from other markets.
Okay. This might get a little random now because I'm going to go with questions by popularity, but our most popular question is for Michel. Is programmatic marketing limited to digital media? Have you found it more effective than traditional media? So maybe it's not as tech-focused an audience as you were you thinking. Can you see it? No? Let me read it again then if you want.
Have you found it more effective than traditional media? Of course. Why would I say anything different, right? Because our business is all about programmatic advertising, programmatic media. It really depends on what is programmatic marketing limited to. Okay, so two things. I don't think programmatic advertising is limited to digital media as we know digital media today. I firmly believe that eventually all media will be digital, and then yes, all digital media will be programmatic. Eventually, like far away, to be honest. But we already see that we've now obviously Xaxis, but also a few other companies have been launching digital out of home, digital radio. So we are buying that right now in a programmatic fashion, as well as connected TV is just around the corner as well for be programmatically available. So and then we're talking about 2-3 years from now, your TV will have programmatic served ads in between. That's not that far away.
Okay.
If we look at the second question, have you found it more effective than traditional media? I mean, if there's an advertiser right now comes to us and says, hey, I got a very sort of a broad reach campaign in Indonesia, and I got some money for it, and I just want to go out with a burst, then probably the advertiser can better go to TV, right? Because that is still a very efficient media type in markets like that. So no, I don't think that in all cases for every campaign, programmatic or digital advertising works better. It really depends on the goals of the campaign and the goals of the client in general, and obviously the target audience they have.
All right, Troy, same question for you. No, I'm just kidding.
Thank you.
No, the next question is for you. It's not about programmatic advertising. It is about what percentage of customers in Asia pay for Evernote compared to the US and Europe, and do you see any difference in the way Asia customers versus US customers act?
That's a great question. We do see it depends on the country. I talked about kind of like developing markets, like if you look at Indonesia or India, Malaysia, those markets, we have much less users that pay. I think it's due to a combination of reasons. People tend to look just at the economics of the situation. I think we're not optimized for pricing in those markets, which is a huge thing. But the biggest thing is that we're not optimized for payments in those markets. So if you want to buy Evernote or pay for Evernote Premium in Indonesia, you have to have an international credit card. Now, who in the hell has an international credit card in Indonesia other than the person that's going to the States all the time or Europe all the time, right? So, and those people are a given anyway for Evernote, but there's a vast, big audience for us in those countries that want to pay but can't because we don't make it comfortable for them. So that's number one. So those countries, they pay at a much lower percentage.
Do you charge the same rate everywhere in the world?
We do, right now. And we're looking into possible changes on that front. But then you have kind of developed countries, and I would say that it does follow the pattern very much so of the US and Europe, very, very close. And so but one of the big differences that we've been able to really grow Asia through is in Europe and the US, which are very big markets for us, obviously, they don't like meeting up. They don't like events. But throughout Asia, events are very common, and we've been able to use events to our advantage for a lot of different reasons in these markets. And that's kind of the key difference in behavior is people in Asia want to learn about Evernote on a proactive basis. Whereas Europe and America are much more, hey, I'll do with it what I want. I don't want to hear from you. You know what I mean? But here, it's much more engaging. People want to come out. They want to hear how other users in their market are using Evernote. So we can do big conferences and things of that nature, which helps with the word of mouth. And I think that's why Asia is really our fastest growing market area. And that's both from a revenue perspective as well as users.
Okay, excellent. We are running low on time, so I'm going to try to do a little rapid fire. A lot of people want to know about China. Useful strategies for getting into China, and how is it different compared to strategies used in other countries? Anyone, raise your hand if you want to tackle that one. Go for it real quick.
Well, I don't know if I want to tackle it. We're in China. We actually created a separate service from our international service in Beijing. So it's hosted there for a number of different reasons. And we, I think, different than many of our counterparts, embraced China for China, right? We went in and we did it on China's terms. We got investment from some investors in China, and things are going very well. We've had a great experience in China, and hope it's going to continue. So it's been a good experience so far.
This is yours, Chris. You're based in China.
He said it all.
Someone doesn't like, I'm going to end with one question that applies to everyone, so we can hopefully get a quick answer. Someone doesn't like that you guys are promoting your products or platforms and wants to know the answer to the fundamental question: where is Asia's user goldmine and how do you get to them? So, where's the goldmine hidden?
Here, I got the answer. The goldmine in Asia, or any other market for that matter, is not in your crappy product. It's in your amazing world-class product. That's the answer. Crappy products don't work, no matter how good your advertising is, no matter how good your messaging is. So that's always been our answer. Like if there's so many people that try to make it with a less than product and try to blame it on the market or this, that, or the other. Nowadays, at least in the app world, I'm not selling soap or anything like that, but at least in the app world, the market makes the decision on their own immediately, independent of what you've got to say as a company. So first and foremost, your product has to kick ass and be amazing.
Okay, quickly, Nobu.
I think it's a kind of a strategic collaboration with your partners. If you have your customers, but your competitive partners or the other companies has their own customers. So if we can collaborate together, we can maximize our new user goldmine in the Asia countries. Yeah.
But where is the goldmine, Michel?
I think it's in, as I said, it's in mobility. I mean you mean the countries, or I think it's on cross-platform area. And then, we need to analyze the consumption on the cross-platform. Yeah, this is my answer.
Go ahead.
I think that the Asia's goldmine is in every, if you look at it from a geographical perspective, in every country where there is digital connectivity. I think there are still some challenges in a few markets, but in all the other markets, that's where the Asian goldmine is. It's not a matter of is there a goldmine? We all know that it's there, but it's how do we reach that goldmine? And that's what the challenge is. And I firmly believe that we do that we as an industry are in the right direction with using technology for that, and really sort of try to understand that the user and that goldmine on a very sort of in-depth basis, and apply that to, in our case, advertiser strategies.
China, India, Indonesia, those three, that order.
Someone has a map.
Well, China, I think there's, obviously you have a very high digital penetration. I think there's a lot of consumer groups that people haven't explored at all, because most clients, at least that we have, they look at China still very broadly. Increasingly, we have people and clients that look at it much more from a geographic perspective, so they start to treat a province like a country, or a city like a country. And I think there you will see a lot of growth, because I think a lot of multinationals, they start to realize you cannot look at it as just one big thing. So I think that's one. I think India, because I strongly believe that a lot of stuff that has happened in India, in China, in the digital space will happen in India in the next 5 years. And you see that already happening. And I think after you've done that and that, then you can go to Indonesia.
Okay. So we have a treasure map and a list, an order. So thank you so much for contributing your time and coming and listening to us. And thank you to the panelists. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks.